going, Courtney? All right, so let's wrap up chapters 3 and 4. What were some things that happened in those two? Again, what were some things that happened in chapters 3 and 4? Make sure we're kind of up to speed here. Micah?
Edmund went into Narnia.
Okay, so Edmund, now he also goes into the wardrobe. Was he intending, when he went into the wardrobe, he was thinking, I'm going to go and see if I can get to Narnia, Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll go back over that question. That's a big part of what is Mr. C.S. Lewis trying to teach us here. Okay, how is he trying to correlate that with the Christian faith? Okay, what happens once Edmund gets into Narnia then, Courtney?
He meets the White Witch, but he thinks he's like the good queen.
Okay, so he meets the White Witch, and that's in contrast to Lucy, who goes back there, and who does she go back to see? Faith? Okay, so this whole argument of good versus evil we see here. Edmund goes in, and he finds the White Witch. Lucy goes in, she finds the fawn. Which one's good? Which of those two people that they meet is what we say is good, quote unquote? Micah, the fawn, whereas the witch is bad. Okay? So that's kind of where we're at. And then at the end of chapter 4, what are Edmund and Lucy doing? Micah?
They're heading back to their home.
Okay. So now let's go over those in-depth questions that we asked. At first, the queen is cruel to Edmund, but then she acts kindly toward them. Why do you think this is? Why did the queen first act mean and then was nice? Garrett?
To trick him and get on with her.
Yeah. What was she going to do to him? What does she do to everybody that she doesn't like or doesn't respect her? The fawn told us. What did the fawn say the witch did? Micah?
Turns from the stone.
Yeah, she'll turn him into stone. So she had her wand ready, sounded like she was ready to do it, and then all of a sudden she thought, I better not. Why? Garrett?
So then she could get all the other kids and then kill them too.
Okay. She stops, and then the author is using what's called foreshadowing here again. She begins to ask, well, where's your brothers and sisters? We'll bring them all back. We don't know why that is. Eventually we will learn why the White Witch realizes if I turn this boy into stone, something bad could still happen. So she realized, I'm not going to. I'm going to let him, but why is that? That's what we'll learn later on. Okay? Okay, how is the Turkish delight magic? Now some of you focused on one aspect of it, and that was, hey, she dropped, something in the snow, and that was magic, and magic appeared. That's true. But this question is really asking what is actually magic about the Turkish delight itself. What does it do to somebody? What does it do, Grant?
It makes them want more.
Yeah, it's something that wakes you on. So what do you think the Turkish delight is a picture of then? What is C.S. Lewis trying to maybe make a Christian symbol here? Garrett? Yeah, sin. Something that we lust after, something that we desire, and we really want it, and we keep wanting more and more and more. And what we find out is sometimes we think, well, if I just had, how much money would make you happy, Micah? How much, if I wrote you a check today, how much would make you happy? If I wrote you a check for how much? And pick an amount. What's the most amount you would be, pick a huge number. All right, I'll write him a check for $1 million. But guess what? In a week, what is he going to want?
More.
He's going to want more. Okay? So that's the way sin acts. It's something that tempts us, that we desire, that we want, that becomes an idol to us. We want more. We want more. We want more. We always want. And so even though we can think, well, if I just have this amount, I'll be happy. That's never true. And we always want more. So what we need to learn is contentment. Okay? Now, I don't know that Mr. Lewis was making this comparison here, but I thought I would make the comparison. Give an example from the Bible that is similar to the way Turkish delight was made. How was Turkish delight made again? So, very simple. Nicole? How was it made?
She just took her wand and
Okay. All right. So she made some magic happen, and there it was. Okay. And she used that as a device to, now she can use it to tempt and to entice Edmund. Can you think of a time in the Bible when somebody did that to someone else, where they tried to make something magical that would satisfy someone, but in the end it would cause trouble?
When the devil tempted Jesus, turned stones into bread.
Right. Use the magic. Turn stones into bread. And then you'll be happy. You'll be filled. But but there's a problem. If Jesus would have done that, he would not have been satisfied. In fact, it would have led him to more sin. So he resisted. Whereas Edmund can't do that, and we have a hard time doing that too. All right. Read James 1:14 and 15. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So almost comparing it to the child. The child develops in the mother's womb, then it's born, it grows, and eventually dies. Okay? So what desires does Edmund have now that he didn't seem to have before he met the queen? There's one basic one here that I was looking for, but some of you are a little bit more insightful, and that was pretty good. Garrett?
Go back to Narnia?
No, because he's in Narnia right now, right? And he's eating the Turkish delight. Okay? And so what does he want? That's the lust. He's enticed. It brought forth, well, the idea is, so what does he want?
More Turkish delight.
He wants more Turkish delight. What else does he want, did he say to the queen? What else did he want to do? What else did he want to do after he's eating? Joe?
To be the prince over Narnia.
Yeah, she offered him, but what did he didn't say necessarily he wanted to be the prince, but where did he want to go, Micah?
To her palace.
Yeah, to her palace. And when she said, well, no, you have to go back and get your brothers and sisters, what did he say to her? What was his initial reaction?
Go right now.
Yeah, I don't care about them. Forget them, phooey on them. Because remember, he'd gotten a little fight with them, argument. So anyways, he doesn't care about them anymore. So we can see now he has some desires. I don't care about my family. I don't want to leave this land. It's so nice and good here. I want to go to the castle. I want to keep eating Turkish delight. So that's what happens when we have sin. It makes us forget about everything in our lives, our good families, our good church, and all we focus on is that sin, and it just pulls us right in, and we can't get away from it. So again, that's a good lesson for us. Why this is such a nice book to do. Okay. Next here, Matthew 5 verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. How do the experiences of Lucy and Edmund show our potential to be led to good or evil can be determined by our own intentions? And I said you can make an example. Okay? Somebody, I did a lot of explaining with a lot of you. You asked questions about this. Who can try to reformulate what we said? Who can kind of put it into some simple terms, maybe? Nobody. Katie, what'd you put? You don't remember.
I really don't.
You really don't. Anybody? Do you remember, Graham? Thought you had a good answer too. All right. What we had talked about, okay, was if we get into a situation and we're crabby about it, right? I don't want to do this, and Mom did it, or we talked about a trip or going someplace. I don't feel like going there. And the other guy says, well, yeah, I don't mind going there. This will be fun. Who's going to be the more miserable troublemaker on that whole trip and get into trouble? Nicole?
The one that goes with the good attitude.
Yeah, the one that goes... Which attitude?
The
Which is going to be the troublemaker?
the one with the bad.
One with a bad attitude. Okay, you go in, you're poking your brother on the ride there because you're just trying to be annoying. Okay, you're kicking the back of their seat. You're whining and complaining that there's not enough food and it's too long of a trip. Okay, you're creating trouble and you're getting into trouble. Okay, or we also use the example. Maybe I'm going to go rob a bank. I don't intend to kill anybody, but while I'm there, something bad happens and things start falling apart. And now I have to. Well, now I commit murder by shooting somebody. Okay. Because I went in with a bad, and it just kept leading. We talked about lying. Going with one line, it leads to more. If I would have convinced myself that I should have told the truth instead of the lie, if that's what was my intention, then if a brother or sister comes along and tries to get me to go along with their plan to lie so we don't get in trouble, it's going to be easier for me to resist if I've convinced myself and I said, this is my intention, I'm going to tell the truth. Okay? Whereas if I intend to tell a lie, I'm probably going to go along with what my brother and sister convinced me to do. So those are some examples. That's kind of what we're looking for there. Okay? For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. How does Edmund's attachment to the Turkish delight contribute to his own denial of the presence of evil? Hit or miss. About half of us got this here. Okay? What did he deny? What was the evil that he was denying that was around him because of the Turkish delight? He goes back and he meets Lucy, right? And what does he deny in his mind? Even though he knows what the right answer is.
That the way to actually
Right. He doesn't say to Lucy, oh, I met the witch, and boy, everything he said is right. But he realizes that she's wrong, she's bad, and she's evil. But the Turkish delight has such control, that sin has such control over him, he is not willing to admit that the wicked witch, or the white witch, is not good here. Okay? So that's a denial. What do you think the white witch is a picture of so far at this point in the story? If there's a correlation between the white witch and somebody from the Bible, Micah? Probably Satan. We'll see as it goes along. Okay, a few other things just to point out to you. Okay? Maybe you noticed as you were listening to me, you would read this word, and you would look at the pictures and you'd go, oh man, he's pronouncing it wrong. Okay, but it is pronounced sledge. That's an English word. Okay, we think of it as sleigh. Okay, sleigh is spelled S-L-E-I-G-H. So sometimes, again, that's one of those things where well, how could you find out if you could say it wrong or right? We'll go to online or look in a dictionary, type in the word sledge, and then put in sleigh and see if there's a different. Maybe maybe like I said, maybe like when I was in school, I said Amish wrong, right? When it should be Amish. Because we would say, if I just put that word up there, you'd say sledge. But that's not a common word that we use, and there's a picture of a sleigh, so you would convince yourself, well, maybe that word we pronounce it sleigh. But again, it's that important aspect of maybe figuring out exactly what that word is and knowing the context. This is a book written by an Englishman, so you can use different terms. And then, what we had said before, we'll have to look back at why the queen doesn't turn Edmund to stone. Okay? There's a specific reason why there. All right. I want to quick go to the site to point out a couple of things to you. Okay. Chapters 5 and 6 here. We're going to be reading those. So there's the vocab that you can do online. You can do the questions online, or down here you can print off the questions, take them with you. And then chapters 5 and chapter 6, there's a total of 5 worksheets there, but they're main idea, there's only 4 questions, and that takes up 2 pages. Okay, there is a sequence of events, so it's the order of things that happen. And chapter 6 is fact and opinion, so just put an F for fact and O for opinion. So again, you can do those in Notability and send a Dropbox. You can print them off and put them in the box. It doesn't really matter. One other thing that some others have started on, and something for you to pay attention to. Let's go to our calendar here. Here's today. And then we won't come back. When we come back, it'll be December. And our final project is due on the 18th. So we'll still have 2.5 weeks to get that done. Okay? But it's probably a good idea to start thinking about that now, because you need to fill out a sheet, okay? And with the whole plan of what your final project is. Because I don't want you just doing your final project and showing up and say, well, the day before I didn't really think about it. So I'll just quick say, I want it to be in depth and carefully done. Okay? So if you go to final project here, you can see some ideas. These are not the only ones. If you have your own idea that you would like to do, that is great. Come and talk to me about it. Okay, so let's say you pick one of these, you want to do one of these. Down here is the final project prospectus. Okay, so you're going to print this off, and purpose. Explain what you want to demonstrate by completing this project and show how it relates to the book. Okay, how is it related to the book? How is it going to show something from the book? Okay, what are you going to demonstrate? The audience. Include a brief description of who your audience will be. Well, that's pretty straightforward. It's us here in the classroom and any classmates abroad. What its members are likely to know about the subject. What are the people going to know about the subject? Well, maybe they know a little bit, but they can learn some more. It depends on what you're doing. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. How do you plan to help them understand your project? So that's where I'm going to make a video, or I'm going to, really detail this, or I'm going to really, do some in-depth analysis of this, and how you plan to capture their interest. So how are you going to make it interesting, something fun for them? And project, and also part of the audience is how you're going to deliver it. Are you going to come up here and give a speech? Is it going to be just a nice presentation that they can read themselves? How are they going to know what you did? Okay. Project description, just give an overview of the content, format, tell them what you're going to do. Some people have sketched out a little bit. Perfect. Materials, what things are you going to need so that you can be successful in it? List them. Okay, so that, what are you going to need to do? So that you're not, again, the night before figuring this out, but you're already 2 weeks ahead going, oh yeah, I better get those things. Okay? And finally, points to consider in your project evaluation. Evaluation is what I do. How well did you do? So what do you think I'm going to be thinking about when I'm grading you? Well, probably neatness, okay? Paying attention to detail, that it's complete, it's thorough, okay? That I explained it to my classmates. So what are the main ideas you are trying to communicate? And then that's what you're going to be graded on. And what things am I going to grade you on? Okay? So that's something that is probably a good idea to start thinking about right now, even as we go. Now, some of the stuff you won't know because we haven't come across it in the book. Okay? But some of the stuff we have, some of you. And once somebody takes something off the list, I don't really want another person to do it. Okay? So otherwise we have 8 people doing the same thing. So just for example, Nicole, she picked that she wants to do a report on Turkish Delight and make some, bring some in. And it's something you don't have to wait until, if she was hoping to get it done over Thanksgiving break here, then she'll be all done with it already. Okay, she doesn't have to wait till the end, and then you guys can have some Turkish Delight and see what it really tastes like if it gets done. But she can wait till the last day too. But if you want to get done early, you can. Okay? All right. So take, you can go here to actually the audio recordings of each chapter. And down here you can listen to chapters 5 and 6 if someone wants to listen, or you can start reading it. We'll give you about 20 minutes here to get that done, 25. And then we'll go ahead and do our language quiz. And then go back from there. You can stop the recording now, right?